This is for the people who really want rapid growth and they want reduced transplant shock. Hello plant people, how are you guys doing today? If you're new around here, my name is Ashley and I'm a soil scientist with a plant science minor, and on this channel, I like to take that science and apply it to all things plants. And in today's video, we're talking about semi-hydroponics, in particular, the growing of houseplants in LECA, as we like to call it, or perlite, or any of those various types or forms. So we are talking about how to fertilize this. I get asked this question a lot. I don't know why. It comes up in casual conversation with friends. Courtney, if you're watching, you know why I'm doing this video. I get this question just all the time. DMs, you name it. And I think it's because I did a really thorough video on LECA, or just semi-hydroponic. And in that video, people really, really love it, but they have a ton of questions afterwards as well. So I think I need to step up my game, and I really need to show you the scientific way of actually using LECA and how to fertilize it properly. So I mentioned in the video, and I have mentioned passingly throughout all my videos, if you have LECA, just throw in fertilizer, which isn't wrong, but it's also not right. And the reason for that, I have to apologize, is my own ignorance. I assume you guys don't want some heavy science videos. I grew up as like that super nerdy freckled redhead that no one really wanted to listen to, because all I wanted to talk about was like math and physics and chemistry. So I just assume the general public doesn't care about this. However, it's turning. I'm realizing the longer I'm on YouTube, or the longer I have my Gardening Canada website, is that there are plant people out there, a vast majority of you actually, that really want to learn about actual science and how it applies to plants. So I'm literally going to show you the Cadillac method for growing your plants hydroponically, or semi-hydroponically in this case. So when you grow semi-hydroponically, you'll notice the first little bit, there's a little bit of transplant shock. We discussed that. Another thing you'll know is nutrient deficiencies pop up relatively easy. Something that I think we talked about when we were looking at the Siam here a few videos ago. And then we also end up with another thing, and that is really slow grow. Very classic semi-hydroponic issue, but it does not have to be that way. There is a way to remedy this, and it actually comes down to how you're fertilizing, and you just fertilizing incorrectly altogether. And I can almost guarantee you a huge majority of semi-hydroponic growers out there are not doing this right. So hands up in the comments down below if you've done any of these methodologies. If you have, good on you. You are an ultimate nerd. If not, then let's get into it. So I'm using the Root Farm brand here because it is super simple stupid. That is why I'm using it. There is a brand out there, it's called Flora Blend. It is expensive. It is the Cadillac. It is a great product. However, there are micronutrient profiles and you name it, and it can get complicated. It is meant for really advanced growers. And when it comes to indoor plants, I love them. I do love my indoor plants, but I'm not willing to lose my sanity over having 15 different jugs, all of which have expiry dates in my house to grow hydroponically, or semi-hydroponically for that matter. This two-part system is the way that I go. So when you do get your Root Farm stuff, I'll leave links down below. You do need to get the base. Regardless, it is part one, it is the base. So it is nitrogen, no phosphorus, and then 1% potassium. And then you have to get your part two. Now your part two, you can get the flowers, fruits and veg, or all-purpose. I'm using all-purpose. This is what I use. If you want a little bit more calcium, maybe you want tougher leaves, whatever the case is, I would go with the tomato and veggie option over the flowering option. If you're an orchid grower, or you have some sort of flower, like a Hoya that you have an LECA, for example, I'd actually go with the flower mix, preferably, or you could do the the fruit and veggie one as well. That is what I'm using. On the website, Gardening Canada website, I'll leave a link down below. I'm gonna do a whole blog post about this whole process, how to process, and I'm going to go into great detail in there, and I'm going to leave the calculations that I sat down and did for the Root Farm products and how to apply it to water. Now, if you have, I'm going to be doing it for Synergy Kombucha. I feel like this is like a generic thing, but it's 1.4 liters is what it comes out to. I know it's super odd, but that's what I use to water. If you want, if you have a specific gallon or a watering can that you're using, let me know what the volume of water is below. I will calculate that for you, and I will add it to an Excel sheet or wherever it is, the handout, the printable that I'll have on the website. I'll add your calculation and how much of everything you need to that spreadsheet. So then you can print it and save it based on your calculations. I'm assuming it's going to be like 0.5 liter or 1 liter. It's going to be like, that's what I'm assuming the average watering jug is. But I want to get a feel for what your guys' sizes are for watering containers, and then I'll do all the math for that pertaining to this product and exactly what you need to add. Step 1 of actually testing all this Shazam is testing the pH of the water you're using to water. These two are pretty much empty, relatively empty. I can test the water in this one to show you guys what it's at. This one is going to be off. I know this because I haven't changed the water in here in a while, and I know it's not going to be pretty. So let's check what the pH is in here. If you run into a scenario where the water isn't necessarily drained out, such as what's happening with Fuzzy here, and I think this is a Monstera Peru, Scomifera forma, and then this is a Peru. Those don't have any water I can capture from them. I caught them too late. Don't let them dry out like that. Don't be me. But this one does have some water in it. So if you're ever unsure why you're having stunted growth, and this guy I've been watching more carefully, I've got 2 new leaves here. I had a ton of stunted growth on him. He was totally stalled out on me, and it was a nightmare. So if you want to test to see where everything's at, see if you have to change the water, you actually want to test the pH of your standing liquid in the LECA. Now, I'm pretty sure this is going to have to be changed. I'm relatively certain it's probably like at a 8. I want to say a pH of 8 or 7. It's generally what it comes out to. So we'll see how off I am, but do 4 drops of the Root Farm pH solution. I'll leave a link for this down below. So you fill this vessel here about halfway with water, and then you do 4 drops of this Root Farm pH tester. This stuff will last you quite a while. It's pretty wicked stuff. So bright green, and I'm at an 8. So it comes out to an 8. There's a little pH indicator, and all you're gonna do is literally line it up on the color on this tube. So this one's a pH of 8. That's not good. That has to be changed. So that means I need to actually change the water in this one, and I need to add water to these 2. So when it comes to changing the water, all you're gonna do is simply dump this water out in the sink, and then you will just literally use the water from this container, which we're gonna work on right now, to refill your containers with. So the goal here is to put the pH of the solution, this is our soil solution without soil essentially, in the wheelhouse of pH that is adaptable or able for plants to uptake it. So I've spoken about this many times. The pH in which a plant needs to uptake nutrients for general purpose sake is 6.5. You can go a little bit above, you can go a little bit below. It's not going to hurt anything, but in general, 6.5 is what we're aiming for. So 8 is way outside the spectrum, meaning, and I'll pop the chart up here, the nutrients that don't have a thick bar at 8 are simply just not being uptaken by this plant because they're simply unavailable to the plant roots. So in order for the nutrient to be brought back into the space it needs to, we have to lower that pH to the 6.5. Another thing that will happen is you'll notice at some pHs, whether they be lower or higher, there's going to be a really big increase in uptake, and you'll think, oh, that's a great thing, like zinc or boron, for example. But if you watched our series on the 17 essential plant nutrients, one thing you would have noted is that some of those can actually become toxic at those pHs, meaning way too much is bioavailable to the plant, and you will stunt growth, or you may end up with less than stellar looking leaves. You name it, it's going to show up. So how do we fix this? My water naturally sits at an 8. So it's so funny that that is at an 8 because that probably means my husband was watering my plants. which is fine. It's fine. It's not going to kill your plant. It's just not going to grow as fast, right? I just want to test my tap water. Last time I checked, it was an 8, and that was like a week ago. But they'll flush, like if you have a water main break, for example, they'll flush the system with ammonium. And we all know what ammonium does if we watch the nitrogen essential nutrient video, right? It has extra hydrogens on it, which can be lost in the solution of soil or in water of this case. So yeah, it's going to be an 8 because it's already showing that. No, it might be like an 8.5. It's like an 8.5. It's got like that bluish tinge to it. It's like, oh, it's high. It is really, really high, and it needs to be reduced. So the best way to do this, or the way to do this correctly, is to add your fertilizer first and then test the actual pH of the water. I'm going to take off my caps here. I've calculated for the 1.4 liters. What I did is I took the Root Farm system, which is approximately 5 gallons. I converted it to liters because that's what we're dealing with here, and we're Canadian American hybrids. So I converted it to about 23 liters. And so in the Root Farm system of 5 gallons or 23 liters, it counts for 10 milliliters of base and 10 milliliters of base and then 10 milliliters of the all-purpose. So I had to figure out how much of each part was needed per 1 liter. So what I did is I then took 10 milliliters and I divided by 23, which gave me 2.09 milliliters per liter is what it came out to. And so then I times that by how many liters are inside this jug. If you want to do this at home, I'll leave the calculation for it on the website because it won't let me type it out nicely in the comments here on YouTube. So then all I do is I take the 2.09 milliliters and I times that by 2.9 milliliters, and I don't round any of it until the end when I end up at 3. So I need 3 milliliters of product to go into here from each one of these jugs because each one calls for 10 milliliters, right? So I need to get 3 milliliters each without making a massive mess everywhere. If you don't know how to use these properly, technically the way you do it is you overfill and then you plunge out to the bottom line, and it should be facing upward like this way, but I'm not over top of the sink, so it's not gonna happen. Okay, so this syringe is exactly 3 milliliters. I'm gonna put part 1 in there. I'm just gonna rinse my syringe out. This is a fertilizer syringe only. Do not use this for medication after, but you can get them in the medicine aisle. Nurses out there, I know I have a few of you here. Where can people just get like a normal syringe? I'm pretty sure I got mine in the medicine aisle, like for kids or something like that. Wear gloves. Getting fertilizer or pesticide in your hands, like big no-no. Like if there's anyone dying from cancer, it's me. I used to do pesticide research for big evil Monsanto. Actually, it was technically Bayer I did research for, but they bought Monsanto, so they're trump card now. My fertilizer is in. Of course, I don't have my lid here, so in an ideal world, give it a tiny little shake here. Now, our jug is mixed up. Quite honestly, for the pH to change or adjust based on the fertilizers being added, it doesn't take long at all. It's pretty freaking quick. And then we're going to refill our pH tester here, again halfway, and we're going to test with the 4 drops against the color on the jug. And you can make mass batches of this. You know what? Oh my God. You don't have to make like 1 or 2. You can make like a mass batch. Don't get me wrong. And it will store just fine. Of course, if you want to be safe, test your pH before you willy-nilly use it, but it's pretty unlikely to change. Okay, so it did go down a bit, just a tiny bit. So we're sitting at what looks like about a 7. I better not be at a 6.5. Okay, I'm like between a 6.5 and a 7. So I'm gonna drop it for you guys just so I can show you how the pH up, pH down works. So you can see there between a 6.5 and a 7. So we need to reduce the pH in this jug. That's what that means. So there are 2 options. You can get the pH up and you can get the pH down. Now, a little bit goes a very long way. You really don't want to use much of this. I find so far, my experience with this is that if you use the pH down, or if your pH usually is high, like your tap water is at an 8, and then you add fertilizer, it goes down a bit, you generally will only ever need the down, so long as you don't over apply the pH down. I have not yet used the pH up. I just own it for the purpose of videos and for the purpose of not having to restart my concentrations. So for example, say my pH here was, I over applied my pH down and I brought it down too far and I had to then use pH up. You could technically just restart from scratch. So restart from bare water, fertilizer, restart type scenario if you didn't want to get both packages. So I'm gonna do, that was 0.5 of a milliliter. Let's see where we're at and then go from there. So once you figure out like what your base is, like what your water is doing, quite honestly, you're gonna be really fast at this. It's gonna be pretty much the same math every single time once you figure out what's going on in here. So I want to really walk you guys through this step by step and show you how to figure out what that baseline would be before you then go ahead and complicate it. So 2, 3, 4. I way over applied. Holy macaronis. Well, for the sake of the video, am I right or am I right? Okay. I am lower than 4 now. I am lower than 4. Okay, so I gotta put pH up in now. Like I said, a little bit goes a long way. Maybe I absent-mindedly put in, oh, what the heck I did. What the heck did I do? Okay. I'm just gonna usually I'm dealing with like way bigger containers. See, I haven't even used this yet. It still has the seal on it, yet like a quarter of that jug is gone. So I'm going to really control myself here to 0.5. And these are acids and bases, you guys, so keep them away from animals, keep them away from kids. You don't want something going awry on you. I guess this works out to about 6 milliliters or 5 milliliters. Yeah, 5 milliliters to fill that halfway. So there we go. Jackpot! All right, so don't be a dumb like me and over apply the pH. Oh, there we go. Goodness me. All right, so we are, you know, I can do a little more. This, you can get as crazy with this as you want. You don't have to do what I'm doing, of course, but you can get as crazy as you want. So I'm gonna do like 0.25 milliliters. Like that was literally a drop that I put in there. And I'll leave a link for all this because I know you guys are gonna want to nerd out with me. Guys, if you do this, you have to share it on Instagram and tag me in it because I want to see all my mad scientists out there. There we go. So you can see we're at, I would say between a 6 and a 6.5. So yeah, and you can play around with this for literally as long as you want. You just quite literally keep on putting this and this in, and all it does, like, if, I know one of the questions is going to be, is it toxic if you know, go back and forth forever? And no, it's not. It just turns into hydrogen. It's literally just releasing or adding hydrogen to the water. It's literally all pH is. So technically it makes salt water, but not really, like it's not toxic levels of salt water. It just makes salt water, essentially is all it is. So this is good to now add to your plants, to your semi-hydroponic plants. So this one's gonna get dumped out, refilled. These guys, other two in the front, are literally just gonna get topped up. If you are really particular about a plant, you really wanna see a plant succeed, you could then technically retest the containers in which you added the water to make sure that everything's balanced out between the residual water that was in the LECA or any other medium that may be in there and the plant itself. If you want to double check that, go ahead, go for it. It's going to be a really great indicator as to whether or not you have root rot, all that sort of stuff. So you could technically fill these and then retest what's in there using the syringe, take it out of the solution and then retest on this. And then if it looks off to you or you want to adjust it, you could then dump that water out into a container. Obviously pH up, pH down it. Don't pH up, pH down in the actual container itself. And then yeah, simply just go ahead and re-add it. It's literally mad scientist type stuff. So class is adjourned. If you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments down below. It really helps me figure out what kind of videos you guys want to like, or what kind of videos you like, how intense you do want to get on the channel. Just helps me engineer my videos just a little bit better suited towards you guys. Like I said, share, comment, like, subscribe, whatever the whole shindig is. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.